Okay, folks, so we have Paul on the phone with us, Paul Howell, and we'll call the meeting to order. And we'll stand. And Chad, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. A roll call. Paul's on the phone. Paul, you with us? Okay, Chad here, and now we're all here. Communications and public hearings. I think you want to make some remarks.
Yes, I just had lunch with these folks here, and we'll have them introduce themselves because they're not bad with names. The group of guys we have here today is with the Wolf Summit Energy Center that is getting proposed over in Summit Park area. And I know David, I do remember that name. We'll start with you and have you introduce the project and tell us whatever you want us to know.
Sure. I'm David Arnold with Wolf Summit. I've been leading the project development for the last couple of years. Haven't been here today for other meetings, so I wanted to come to this meeting since the project is on the agenda. But thank the Water Board for all the support to date and the support to come in developing the project.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm Kurt Orson. This is Chris Hall. We're just here to make sure that Dave is the right places.
Oh, the navigators. All right. And yourself?
Chris Hall, Ron Strategies, and Kurt Curtis.
Well, we're so glad you're with us today. I know this project has been in the work for a long time. Yes. And it looks like it's getting closer to fruition. It's going to happen, and we're going to have that facility up and running, hopefully in the future here,
Yes.
Near future, not long term. So, and we're happy to partner with you any way we can.
Yeah, I've been working with it pretty closely and moving our end of the deal forward.
Well, we welcome you to our meeting. Now we have somebody else wants to speak.
Yes, I do.
I'll give your name and your residence so we can put it on.
My name is Dennis Dutchess,
Yes,
and
Dennis.
I'm Gutter Ford.
Okay.
Back in March, I believe it was March, you got a big crowd here on increase. You weren't here at that time. Increase on the water rates for construction. Well, everybody understood it, didn't like it, they understood it, but at the end of the meeting, you all promised transparency.
Okay.
But that hasn't happened. There's two cases, so I'll speak. One is that I go to town meetings in Nutter Fort quite often. And I've asked them before about water quality. Now, we get one sheet a year. We get one report a year. But they told me, like Mr. Davis told me one time, you change the chemicals in the water periodically. But they don't tell the surrounding communities. I think they should. There was a water issue, I thought there was one time, and I talked to him, he satisfied my problem, but I think that anytime you change chemicals in the water, whatever the case may be, I think you should tell the people in each town. And today's communication is easy, boom, 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 send it, and that's it. It's not like you have to mail anything. So I think you ought to be more transparent with the community you serve on the changes you're making to the chemicals in the water. So we put it in the or to anyhow. I don't know. I do know this though, with those dams out, you have saved $40,000 a year in chemicals in the water. And that you have had. And I don't think that's ever been put out. Secondly, speaking of transparency, I was here at the last meeting and I stayed for the business part. That's when you all said that the dam was an absolute no. Okay, you said that.
Mhm.
And I questioned grants, et cetera. And the man said, well, the grants have been exhausted as far as checking into them. Well, next day, newspaper come out here. Paper here. And I questioned that because I said then, there was an alternative to you call it inlet program there, if you don't have the money for it. Inlet program. But that is he said no to the dam. The inlet program, the inlet, I think I should call it inlet, it's where you draw water from. It's a new system. But you didn't have the money.
An intake.
Huh?
An intake. You're talking about an intake?
It's an intake.
It's an intake.
We take the water out of the river.
Right. What is it, inlet?
Yeah.
You can say. But you don't have the money for it. And so you made an absolute no. I said, I don't think you said no, but anyways, this, so anyway, the paper come out the next day, newspaper, and it said that you axed the program, you did. And you've been at this since 2017, and it says in the paper also that you weren't for it from the beginning, which I don't understand that, because there's no skin off your nose if the dam's out, personally anyway. And, so anyway, a woman by the name of Lori Hollingsworth. And I called her, talked to her yesterday. She's gonna send me a bunch of paperwork. She told me is that apparently Senator Manchin has got a bill in Congress to try to appropriate $7 million for this project. Now, we weren't told that. And that means you have a new intake. I'll try to get that right. Intake program. The system you have now was designed in the 1920s. It was modeled in the 80s, which if it went bad, you're done. This new system we put in, now the $1 million was for the design of the permits. That's all, not construction. But this $7 million goes through, and she says a good chance it will. You put a new in that program, the dam removal, a storage tank, and secure the banks along the West Fork River. But I think what was put in the paper was absolute no, and I think you need to address that a little bit further and say, look, no, that's true, but there is a possibility, some words to that effect, that I think the people out there should know. It's not absolute.
Well, I think we said no based on the information, and I don't think the intake program had anything to do with what.
And you all said no dam removal.
And this no dam removal
Let's-
period.
We don't get in a long conversation. We'll just address a couple things really quickly. Number one, the whole project had nothing to do with putting a new intake in.
Not at all.
We weren't seeking to put a new water intake in or anything. That was just part of the deal. If we take the dam out, they would put that in for us. That was part of the deal. But there's things in, what's the name of the lady for our record? Did you get her name that made the comment? Gloria somebody?
Lori Hollingsworth, she's out at Pittsburgh.
Oh, that is
No, it's Lisa Holland.
Lisa
Lisa.
Hollingsworth second.
Yes, Lisa.
We know her, yes, okay.
Lisa
That's
Hollingsworth
what I
second.
thought.
Okay,
That's what told me about the grant.
well, I understand. Okay.
You know,
And we just told them there's no reason to go move any further with their grant
As
on
it
the
is.
analysis, because we would have them use their money somewhere else rather than wasting when the board's already decided we're not going to remove the dam.
Well, so you should have absolutely axed. And that's what I'm just trying to say, in my opinion.
Let's not get into a discussion on this. You've made your comments. I will just say something quickly that the proposal had to be brought to a head because the plan they brought through us was not conclusive. It didn't include everything we needed. And they wanted us to make a commitment to take the dam out on a hope and a promise. And we said we wouldn't do it until everything was in place. That's where we stood. Now, if this ball was in their court, they can come along with something and show us to answer our questions, which they know what they are, then we'd be visited. But we just can't go on year after year, week after week, just hanging on us. We had to nip it in the bud, bring it to a halt to catch their attention, to tell them you need to do something. Paul, you want to say something?
Yeah, why don't you just have, Mr. Myers get with him after the
Yeah.
meeting? We'll put the meeting along and, he can give him all the details so he knows where we're at.
That's the way we'll handle it. You can talk. He knows all our history on it. You can't always rely on the paper or somebody from outside. You listen to the other person. There's always two sides to a story. Okay, so we'll have Jason handle it. He'll take care of you.
I would
And
like to say
as
something.
far as transparency, I'll tell you right now, you won't find a more transparent board than this one. Okay, let's move on.
Can I say something about the chemicals? Because we don't change the chemicals. I never once said we changed it. We change chemical dosages. It's not like we just go in there and say, oh, we're gonna try something different. I never once told you that. We changed chemical dosages to adjust with what the water quality needs to be throughout the year. So as far as changing chemicals, that's a big no-no because we're not allowed to do it by the state. It has to be approved.
And we just don't change chemicals. It's a
We change dose.
Water chemistry changes all the time. We
Yeah.
have to adjust.
hot weather, cold weather, turbidity, all that stuff. Let's move on.
It's absurd to say anything differently. This is a professional plan. It's absurd to make those comments to think those are true, wherever you're hearing them from.
Yes, I know.
Let's move on.
Yeah, move on.
Let's move on, guys,
Let's
because
move on.
I think he just has a lot of disinformation. All righty, let's move on to the next item. Is our reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. What's your pleasure, folks?
I move to approve.
A second. I guess move and second it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Let's go now to our financial items.
Jason is not here.
Saw him come in a while ago, but he's not here today.
Okay, we have the unaccounted for
Water loss.
water loss, as you can see.
Went up a little.
No, it went down.
I thought it was 17, it was 14 before. Maybe
No, we were 14.49 last month. But last month, when I say April, remember, we're a month behind on our reports. So April 24, we were at 14.49. And in May, we're at 14.48. So we're heading in the right direction.
Oh, I thought
So our total year to date is 20.22%. And our total accounted for this far in the year is 17.03%. So we're good. So he also put down here the prior month was 17.57. And the current report is 17.03. So we're
And
heading
what
in
was
the
the
right direction.
17? What was it?
Last month, which would be April 24, was 17.57. That's the most important number on here. May, which is for this report, is 17.03%. It's down at the bottom, right-hand corner.
Okay, I missed the reading down the ledger on the side.
Yeah.
So it's running in arrears that way.
Yeah, we're a month behind in order to capture the correct data.
We want to be at less than 15.
Yes, sort of, yeah. So
All right.
we'll
Any
get there.
questions? Let's move on then.
We don't have any invoices or quotes to present at this time. And there's also no update on the lead database and inventory at this time either.
Okay.
Corrosion control, Bob's got his latest water quality data in here. If you have any questions for Bob, he's here in the audience to answer any questions. That you may have anything out of note that you're seeing, everything's trending,
No, everything looks fine.
even with the warm water temperatures.
Yeah,
Everything's still good.
Fine. We're getting ready to do compliance samples coming up next month, so.
Yeah, that was my next thing on there.
Okay.
Also, as you all seen yesterday, the EPA has approved our request to terminate filter
This is
distribution.
the federal EPA.
Yeah, this is the federal EPA. We requested to have the filter distribution terminated, and they have granted that request immediately. So we do not have to provide any filters or filters from this point forward, with a caveat of obviously, because of lead and copper rule, when we replace a lead service line, we have to provide a 6-month filter at that time. Other than that, do not have to provide any more filters. So that was a huge win yesterday. So.
Well, that's good news too, that we just don't have to mass take everybody and give them new filters because the system is working as we have.
It is working.
Orthophosphate, so on.
And we.
But as we change
sent
the
plenty
line,
of
we
data
have
to
to give
prove
them a
that.
6 month.
We sent plenty of data to prove that. So.
Okay. Any questions on that, guys? Paul, any question? Okay, let's move on.
All right, Chestnut Street water line. Dave, what's the good word out there?
Well, the 16 from the plant up to Hayes has been installed, tested, and is in service. They are now working from Hayes up toward Harvey with the open cut, and they're up to Frederick with it, getting ready to set the tee for the 6-inch on Frederick. All that's done. Now the boring down below is not going so well. They keep running into problems one after the other, and when I was down there just about an hour or so ago, they were backing the head out again to try to get down deeper to get underneath everything.
What is the obstacle? What are they?
Down in the old plant yard, when they tore that plant down.
Yeah.
It appears they took all the old rumble and dumped in the basement of it.
Oh, they just filled it in, so you have all that
So
blocks
you
and
have all that
stone
block
and
with
everything.
rebar. When that bore head is hitting the rebar, it's messing it up. And then the block, the inconsistency of it, they can't control the bore. So Green River has dug some pits to get them through some of those sections. And then at one time, they were underneath the creek and they run into rock. They had to back it out and get a rock head.
Do we have alternative ways to cross over?
That's, I mean,
That's,
they won't let us open cut, so,
they won't let us at all.
I mean, we still have to cross the stream.
I don't know that, I don't know what
Is
their
this
other
going to
option.
take us- Just will take more time or money, or is it presenting a problem that we need to change the plan?
Well, I sent out,
That's just what I
I
meant.
sent out an email last night because I was down on site there and they've been 3 weeks and no progress. And so I sent an email out, I'm waiting for an answer back from Green River of what they're gonna do. Because I have set a hard date of August the 18th, they have to be done. Because I promised the Board of Education and the folks along South Chestnut Street that this project would be done before school started back.
And cost the buses and everything.
And we were not gonna go through all that because the bus route was really, it was a big deal last year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Jason, maybe you need to get a hold of the state road or friends down there and, see if we can't do an open cut, because, certainly we could put the road back together properly.
But is
I mean,
it a stream issue or the road issue?
it's just under the ground. They're into blue rock,
Blue Rock was.
which I guess is
really
very,
hard.
I don't know anything about drilling, but I guess it's very hard rock to drill through. I mean,
Is that
Paul,
what
I
the
mean,
stream?
this is kind of in
That
here.
was below the stream.
Is
from what I
there truth to
understand.
that about the blue rock? Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Bluestone, we call it bluestone. It is,
Very
in this
hard.
area, it's the hardest you've got. It's a limestone area, and in this area, it's impossible. I've run projects that were 4 foot deep, and they got a total of 6 inches a day.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. So we have a twofold project with the stream and the road are the two obstacles, right? The road we might be able to deal with. But then we get on the other side of the road, what happens with all that debris?
On the other-
Well, none of our debris should be on the other side of the road.
Where the old plant was, you said they.
Yeah,
dumped
where
it.
the old plan is, once they get if they can drill across that creek or get us across the creek, then we can excavate that tie-in.
Okay,
But that's
Just
not a
getting
problem,
across
it's just the boring, they're having trouble.
okay.
With the hoe ram and stuff, they can hammer out any old foundation and get all the. block
Problem
out.
is getting under the stream and
Getting
getting under the
underneath the
road.
stream's the number one problem.
If we can't get under the stream, Doug, can that be suspended like the rest of the pipes down through there?
Yeah. Anything can be done, but we would have to go through and get approval from the Corps.
Oh, we want this done in this lifetime.
Yeah, it's an environment, or not an environmental, but a regulatory issue if you're going to suspend one.
And what do you do when you suspend it? Tell me what you do there, Doug.
You're literally bringing it above ground or across the ditch, just in the air.
Above, yeah.
Yeah, and you just have to have, trusses and supports on to make sure that.
Yeah, I've seen this in old streams and stuff,
Yep.
when they pipe across.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you got your homework, buddy. Go at it.
Yeah,
So can
unfortunately,
you,
until it's snow, but
Ask about the open cut?
the city won't let us go across diagonal.
Yeah,
We
I just
don't,
say if we
we
open
don't
cut,
have-
the state's gonna make us go across the road.
we're gonna have to go across, we're gonna have to put a 45 in.
We'll have to put 2
245s
45s
in, we don't have the valves, so it's another 6-8 weeks.
Jeez.
Well, we need to contact the state road and see if we can't get an exception. So again, we can repair it to their specs and everything should be fine. It's better for the water plant and the community.
Yeah.
This affects 96% of this population of this county. You'd think they'd react to that. But let's move on now. There's nothing we can do. We're talking here and wasting time. We've got some ideas. We can't solve them right here. Okay? Let's move on, Mr. Manager.
All right, we don't have any invoices for this project,
Okay?
so we're moving on to the phase 3A. And, Doug, I know we've got some things moving on that.
Yeah, had a meeting with the, I wasn't part of it, but Jason and Steve Haynes was a part of the meeting we had with the plumbers, to discuss how we're actually going to do the billing and reasonable prices and such on the customer side of the project. So, a lot of good information came out of that yesterday. Sounds like we've got a set of minutes we want to get back together and address those before we can really go too much further. The main consideration there in this whole thing is what we call BABA, to build back better conditions that are in this this program. And What we have to do is we have to verify each piece of material that is under,
USA.
that it is made in USA, and there's some regulations. And so we were trying to determine that particular thing, because it is very small items. Is it better for us to purchase all those and hand them out to the plumbers? Or is it better for the plumbers to purchase them and install them? Right now, the consensus seems to be that the plumbers are accustomed to doing this already, and that it's better if they just do it and provide that documentation back to us with us doing our inspections and so forth. I still want to have that discussion, again, not necessarily with them, but with Jason and, the funding agencies, to make sure we're going to do that. Because we do know, I think there's a very, very, very high likelihood that when this project is done, or in the middle of the project, that we will be audited by the EPA through this funding mechanism to make sure that this has been done correctly. Part of it is because it's the first major lead service line replacement in West Virginia, so they're going to take a look at it, make sure it's being done right.
And may I interject something?
Absolutely, sir.
We jump right in and talk about meeting with the plumbers and so on. You know what we're talking about as far as using the plumbers to do what? I don't think, this is to put the line from the meter into the yard. Some houses, we have to pay for that. I think that's something we just missed. You got the meter here, and then we're talking about plumbers, but this is where we go from the meter to the customer's houses. And the point is, there's a lot of variables in, you know, because you have plumbers who have to be certified by the city, and we don't have anything to do with the selection. And so when they go to replace a galvanized line or a line that needs to be replaced, then there's a reimbursement thing. The question is not, you get the plumbers, and it's USA products, right? They have to use even little fittings or whatever, and they have to document it. But the bigger thing is, I've looked at and talked to Jason about it. The variables are this: how do you price it? Because somebody may have a line that's only 4 or 5 feet long, somebody have one 20 feet long, and how do we pay for this with the various plumbers? And then on the other thing, you got variables like going under sidewalks or obstacles and so on that are going to be more expensive. So you can't play everybody a flat rate. And that's another nightmare to work through the pricing, right?
That is.
Did I say that pretty well?
You did excellent. And then again, those are some of the details we're working out with them, because what you want to do in all of these types of projects is you want the plumber to be able to go in and provide a good product for the client, as well as you want them to be able to make money. But you also want to make sure that it is a reasonable price, and that we are still able to deal and save money for the ratepayers as a whole.
Yeah.
So it's a, you know, catch-22. We want to talk to both sides of where we think where we think the plumbers are going to be. Is it a reasonable price? You know, so just to give you some idea, and not to throw names out, we heard for a 15-foot service anywhere from $1,300 to $7,000. And so we think the 7,000 is a little on the outlandish side by any stretch.
This is what some of the plumbers are kind of getting.
This is just kind of have an open discussion.
I always worry about, and I love our plumbers, they do a great job, but we want to be fair to them. As you said, they can't do this for free, and they can't go in and do a small job and lose money.
Right.
But then they also can't do a big job and lose money. It's what's fair, and that's the hard thing to do.
It is, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it so that it is, you know, we get the best compromise from both sides of being able to make sure that they are being compensated for the work that they do, but that there is control on the amount of work or the cost that goes to them as well.
Yeah.
So that's an ongoing discussion.
I hope we can.
Lonnie, it's very good. I mean, it's very good discussion, very informative on their part and our part. They brought up some good things that we didn't think about. And
At least you've had a good meeting with them.
it was very
Did
productive.
you have a decent turnout, like 4 or 5 people or something, or 6?
It was three.
Three, and we kept it, we wanted to keep it relatively small so that the conversation was very concise and informative, and not just a bunch of people throwing out stuff and getting out of control in the
Yeah.
conversation.
They're not there for a sales pitch. It was.
Paul,
more
do you
of a
have any
fact
questions?
finding.
Paul, do you have any questions on this?
No, I do have a comment there. I think, we have a number of contractors in the community that are plumbers that are interested in buying for the job, so I think we'll get a good rate.
Good deal. the thing is, we're not going to be, another point, we are not going to be selecting who's on the list. If they're certified and on the city list of a provider being a plumber, they can come and seek work to do work. Is that right?
That is correct.
But we're going to try to have a list of people. So if you're a resident of, say, Staley, and it's up to you to pick who you want to use, but we're going to reimburse it, right?
Yeah, to a certain degree. And so we're working on that. The other thing in the project as a whole, we're still working on the coordination with the city of Clarksburg on the sewer part. This is for contract number 4. This is the Pike and Main section to work out those details, get that project caught up to speed with our other 3 contracts. On contracts 1, 2, and 3, which is Staley and Northview, basically. Then we're pretty close to that. The only thing we're waiting on is the DOH permit to come back from that, and then we'll have the
Sorry, guys.
the ability to then request binding commitment from them, as well as then once we've got that, then we can go into authorization to bid. So that's the push on this. Come along nicely. I wish things could go faster, but as far as coordination goes, I think we're.
I thought of something else, Doc and Jason. As we go down, we've got the Pike and Main Street projects, which run from Wendy's all the way to Hardee's, and from the split and the west end all the way out to Red Caboose in that area, right? A lot of that's commercial usage. Do they have lead service lines? Commercial properties?
There's some.
Some, yeah. And so those will be replaced as we go as part of this.
Again, that's a bigger job, right? Usually bigger piping and so on.
Yeah.
So we may have some other structure rate for commercial
Well,
people.
could be in through the parking lot through asphalt, so yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and I think we'll have this
Shelby, you shouldn't
ability.
have created this problem.
I think we'll have this ability that the plumber may come in and say, hey, this is a unique circumstance that, we're not going to fit into the category of a 3/4 inch, 15-foot service. But what we've got is a 1 inch, 20-foot service, but we've got a 15-foot, retaining wall in the way. And so this requires some unique pricing. And I think those kind of things are going to come up. We'll address those.
One at a time as needed. We'll have to have some contingency for this
Yes.
stuff.
And
Okay.
some private lines have regulators.
Some have
So we gotta put
regulators.
those back.
Yeah.
Gotta put a new one back in its place.
How about the backflow stuff?
Those should be inside the facilities, and so we should not touch those, but we don't know that we get there. There could be the unique circumstances in which they put what's called a hot box and have done it outside the
But what if
building.
they haven't done anything at all and we discover it?
This is even, I think he's even talking about thermal expansion.
Yeah.
Because these new setters now have check valves in them.
Yeah.
Where the ones we have in there now do not.
Yeah.
So as we.
I just wondered, that's always-
regulations,
that's
we have
always
to
an
have it,
issue.
So then we'll have thermal expansion, so we've got to get that information to the property owner, because we'll have to put a tank in
Right.
at their expense.
So there's another situation too. Well, we could talk this to death, you guys. We don't have an answer today.
Right.
You're just telling us what you've done.
Yeah, I'm just telling you where we're moving
Where we
on this,
stand.
and we are making progress on all of them, so we're going.
Paul, have any more questions? Or observation?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, good discussion. And that's much as for the media as well, as you guys know what's going on. Okay, let's move on.
The next thing, again, just throwing this out here, Al and I talked about this, is we're wanting to have 3 public information meetings,
Yes.
in the coming months. We were gonna have it sooner until we had our meeting yesterday, and I talked with, Steve, and we probably need to have a planning meeting. We need to have a planning meeting, because there's a lot of things we can discuss before we go to the public.
Yeah, we have to know what
All
we're
the
doing.
logistics and this, that, and the other. So once we have that planning meeting, get everything in place, then we'll have these 3 meetings. We'd like to have them all the same week if we can. If we can't, that's
Within a
fine.
2-week period.
But within a 2-week period, so we're gonna, we're gonna have them in the neighborhoods. We'll have one in Northview, one in Staley, and then one downtown.
One for the downtown.
Yeah, so we'll have 3 of those, 6 to 8, 6:30 to 8:30, something like that. Bring the public in. Thrasher's gonna be on the hot seat, present everything, show everybody what to expect when
Ask the question-
contractors are in
question
the
and
area.
answer period.
Here's the timeline, here's what to expect, how do you want to be notified, yada, yada, just all that stuff. So communication is gonna be big.
Yep.
Huge with this. We've got to do this right.
Yep.
Like you said earlier, all eyes are on us. So
Yep.
we're gonna be setting the playing field for the rest of the state in regards to lead service line replacement.
Salem is following this project right behind this one, so they.
Well, we're looking at a location in, I won't get into specifics yet, but in Staley, which you take care of, going out to Rosebud Plaza area and Staley. Then one for Northview's a large neighborhood, and then another location for the Pike Street and Main Street projects. So we got 3 sites we're looking at, and I've talked to one already. And these are places that have adequate seating, parking. Parking is important. Parking and the size of the facility. You never know with these things. You could get 200 people, you might get 10. We've done this before. And then the other we talked about how we're going to communicate to them. The one sure thing, you've got media. Some people get the paper, some don't, some watch TV, some don't. Not on Facebook. You can't count on all those. All of you can utilize them. Best thing we have is direct mail because we know we can directly talk to that customer and say, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, we're having a public hearing in your neighborhood on this date. And that's one of the things to be the most important thing.
Yep.
So the logistics and all that stuff is what we need to work out. But we're too early yet, but we're thinking about it, aren't we?
Yeah, I just want to get it on
Jason's on top
the
of it.
forefront of everybody's minds. This is forthcoming.
Okay.
And I guess it's a good thing that this project was kind of delayed a little bit. We're going to sit down and do some planning of who's responsible for what, this is what to expect. You can't redo it. We're going to do this right the first time. So, and it's a big project, biggest one in the state.
And now we're.
All eyes are on us.
We
There's a lot
also.
of money here. We got to spend it well.
We tentatively talked about what day of the week, Saturday, Sunday, Fridays are out. Wednesday sometime are church services. We're looking at Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday nights. Is that what we decided? So the board will kind of work this out, but we've been working on it pretty hard here, we thought we were going to do it sooner. I'm glad we're delayed just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to be prepared before we go out.
Welcome, Mr. Counselor.
Apologize, I'm on.
All right, ready to move on?
Yes, Shelby has got some things to present to you all. There's a pay requisition in your binder there. So with that,
Okay, so there are going to be a couple of reimbursements to the water board for the right-of-way agent and some easement payments to property owners. And then some administration services.
Just one signature.
Yeah, I just need the president's signature after a motion to approve.
After we approve it, I'll be willing to sign it.
You
Is this another one to be signed?
I need all 3 signed.
Oh, there's 3 of them.
yes. So I just kind of passed them out so you could review.
Well, let's, how much, what's the amount on it? 7,000 something.
I gave you my copy, $7,049.
Want to make the motion
If you
to
want.
approve?
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve requisition number 7 in the amount of $7,049.51.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, Paul. Now, this is a pretty straightforward thing. They're reimbursing this a pass through, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the state always.
That's good.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Motion passes.
the next one is one that you need to approve, and this will be submitted to. It's the DOH bond. It's more than what I can approve. Is that something that's going to be paid out at closing?
Yes,
So this will be paid out at closing. So go ahead and approve it. And
you have to pay for it now, to get reimbursed.
We'll get reimbursed.
Yeah.
I guess make a motion that we, pay invoice number IUWT 042024113516
Well,
in the
you
amount
said
of
that pretty fast.
$30,204.75 with the state of West Virginia Division of Highways.
What's that pay for?
It's a water installation.
it's right away permit,
Right, $30,000. I saw that. I didn't know what it was.
$30,000, yeah.
So we have to pay the permit fee.
yeah, hey, that's a great question, Al.
What is that?
Not only are we paying that permit fee for our line, but the city, the search department's gonna be in the same open pits along the same streets are paying their own fees to the state. So, that's our local taxpayers. That affects our rates. That money, we're spending, we're paving it too, by the way. We're all partners.
Going to improve, and we're going to improve everything.
Is
They can give us a little help down there, excuse me, they can give us a little help down there at the bottom of 98 to allow us to put that water line in and be good neighbors because, we spend an awful lot of money with them when we do construction.
$30,000 is a lot.
But we get reimbursed for that, right?
You will.
Yeah.
You get reimbursed for it. Apologize for the facial expressions. I'm still living in the past a little bit when right-of-way fees for the DOH were 40 cents a foot and not what they are now, which
Yeah.
I think is $3 or $4 a foot.
85 cents.
But I agree with
5 cents on
Paul.
the water. The
Sewer's $3 and something.
Yeah.
Yeah, sewer's a lot more.
Now, what does this cover right now, this permitting for what
It
areas?
allows us within their right of way to put our lines.
Like this Main Street, Pike Street and all
Yes.
that?
But the
Is the
thing
city, is the city being billed for the same thing?
The city has to be, they'll be
Yes.
billed $3 and something a foot for hours.
Yeah, theirs will be more expensive in the area because the water is 80 some cents
85 cents.
and the sewer is $3 and something.
So what value does the board get from this?
It's basically, in my interpretation of it, it's an occupation fee. Much like you would pay for a railroad right of way, it is to be able to occupy their right of way.
Yeah, we're gonna
But the
do the
problem
street,
is
repair
you're
the
doing
street, put a
repair,
new
you
street in.
I have a question, I assume we paid for that right away years ago when the lines were first installed.
And we have an easement right away. Good point, Paul.
It's not for a right of way, it is technically, I think what they do term this as part of the inspection fee. At one time, they used to actually charge you per hour to come out and inspect, and then they started charging per foot. I think, I'm speaking a little bit out of my knowledge here, but it is, anytime you go in and you do construction in the right of way and you put something in, their easiest way of doing that cost is per linear foot of occupation.
Have we been paying?
But we do get some service. They come out and look at the work.
They do.
I've never seen
Yeah.
that.
No, you got prepaid. You got prepaid.
I don't remember ever paying this kind of a fee.
Well, it's never been this large.
Yeah.
So it's usually a couple $1,000s.
Well, even a couple $1,000, I don't remember us doing
Yeah,
that.
no, they're only.
Yeah.
And even if we go out and repair, technically, even if you go out and repair, you're supposed to send them a fee.
Yeah.
After you've already paid it once.
Yes.
So, and arguably, it's the cost of their inspection, their supervision of our work.
Right.
Darn.
So is the state,
You're in the wrong
is the state that
profession.
reimburses it?
No, actually, you get reimbursed through the funds that you're borrowing.
Yeah.
So you're reimbursing yourself is what you're
Well,
doing.
we're paying.
So the ratepayers are still paying.
The ratepayers are still paying the
It
bond.
still comes out right
It's
now.
not like free money.
Yeah. And just as the invoice that you just approved for $7,000, it's the same thing. Reimbursement for your future loans that you're gonna sign.
Yeah.
Thanks for the explanation.
All righty, guys.
Again, and Paul and I talked about this, it's just another fee of bureaucracy of paying this fee. And it just, and then, like I said, you gotta go in and repair that same thing we just paid for, you gotta pay it again and again and again and again, it's just
This is no way
it's
around.
frustrating.
We're joining the revolt you're reading about all the time, about junk fees and all kinds of fees with utilities,
There's
whether it's
no way
cable
around it.
TV or whatever,
It is what it
phone
is.
company.
They got you.
Those fees,
Wolf, you guys are not gonna have anything like ours.
We already did this.
these fees are all authorized by legislative rules.
Yes,
So
we
the
understand.
department proposes in the legislature.
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Paul? Any more observations, Paul? Okay, let's move on. Any more bills to pay or anything here?
With the, do we have to approve these easement, these $100?
That was part of what she, that's.
But that's part of it,
That's part of that 7 back. We wanna get.
Yeah, just, okay.
All right, Snake Hollow Road, water line extension.
Snake Hollow Road, still working on the design of the individual pump stations and trying to work out with, Roger Earl on how we're gonna handle the, electrical costs and so forth with that. Just remember, each of these pump stations basically has to be individually designed. Each house is at a different elevation and so forth, so we're going through those, today. Or, currently for each house to, get the design for each of the small pump stations. Still moving forward, I intend to be in Charleston on August the 7th at the IJDC Center, or a meeting, and Roger usually, is at those meetings. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to talk to Roger and just tell him, hey, this is coming, obviously, while it's coming, be ready to, if you can approve these, kind of expedite this.
Can we, because those people are calling.
Good deal.
I don't want to tell them something I don't don't know anything. I said, I hate to keep telling you, and, you know, it's status is still the same. When can we expect to go to bid on this project?
I don't want to speculate. And I
This
really-
year?
I would hope, but it's always the same thing. We can do our part, turn it over to them. They have to look at it and approve. And it could be 2 days from their approval. It could be, you know, whatever. Which again is why I want to try to prime the pump when I'm back down there next time. Just to make
No
sure.
pun intended.
No pun intended, but just to try to keep it moving, let them know that it's all about.
Anything else on this stuff, guys? All right, let's move on. We're gonna move to Snake Hollow to.
Second Street Pump Station, we're gonna go to bid on this one, right?
I wish. The survey crew, got rained out a couple of days. So they should be out there on Friday to do their survey work there. In the meantime, I did get a preliminary design back or ready to go and a preliminary, number from the pumping guy again. 425,000. Yeah. I don't remember exactly what the number was, but that is higher than what I remember.
Oh, yeah.
They would not go into the discussion very deep, but the original quote that they sent out was lowballed by an employee that had thought they were going to get the job by lowballing the number. The employee no longer works there. So this is a realistic number.
How much we have for that project, Jason?
I think we have,
550?
I think we have 450
450.
for the whole project, I believe.
Now, this number does not include a generator, but it includes hookups for generator. It does not include telemetry, but it does include the hookups for the telemetry. We wanted to make sure all of those things were there.
Wow.
If you remember on the generator side, our thoughts were, let's make it so that it's available to hook up. But if it doesn't work, we can just turn it and let it work as it is right now and it'll work just fine. So the idea of putting in some significant dollars on the generator, we did not want to do that at this point.
Can we get other quotes?
Oh, we absolutely will.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Yes, absolutely. What we're going to do is, when I do this, we get a base quote that or a base setup that we look at, and then we put it out to bid, and then we look at those pumps that are submitted back for the lowest that meets the performance specification.
But you're gonna have some
That's
specifications
such a
for the
substantial
Oh,
difference.
absolutely.
Yeah, but they come along and they bid, they have a lesser product or pump or whatever it is.
Right.
We're gonna see that.
It does,
Right.
I mean, it was
And that includes
significant
installation.
difference, increase. I mean, so.
What's that?
That's included installation. That's for them to bring it and set it.
That's for them to bring it here, and they will not, we will have to have a crane to set it down.
But it has no.
Well, how about
They will
the
travel.
leveling, the excavation and all that for the pad settles? That's more money.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of cost above this one.
There is, you know.
Plus, we're gonna have to run a pipe up this way and up the side street back here and so on. Isn't that true? Moving up towards Kramer and up over the hill there in our right of way.
Well, that's in the phase 3A project. That's the one. This is on Second Street.
Oh, this is just on the pump.
Yeah, literally what we're going to try to do is the 12-inch that goes up to the tank where it comes off the 24
Okay,
is to set this booster station not directly on top of it, but very close
Close
to
to
on
it.
top of it so that the pipes just come out straight up into the pump
so
station.
that line going around had nothing to do with Van Buren, it had to do with going up our old right of way.
Right, that is correct.
Okay, I misunderstood that. Okay.
But again, I just got that number yesterday and I want to let you guys know that as soon as I heard it so that you're keeping up to date as much as possible.
Thank you. Paul, you have any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on.
We can just take this out now, can we, the next, the Harlan Dam?
Yeah, it was already on
It was in the,
it was on the agenda.
let's go to
before.
the next item.
Yeah.
Which is, Wolf Summit, they're here. We're not gonna have any- much of any discussion.
You actually was on, you were on here.
Unless they
I mean,
wanna
is
make
there
some comments
anything
here.
you wanted to tell them about, or?
How we're getting
Do
along or anything.
that?
Sorry, say again, Jason.
Do you want us to tell them a little bit about what the Energy Center is about? Because there's some people here that don't know. Are you allowed to?
Yeah, sure. So,
Okay.
Well, just give us a highlight, some of it, just bring us up to speed.
yeah, so Wilson Energy is a roughly 600 megawatt combined cycle natural gas power plant, which was originally sort of conceived 2015, 2016, It was supposed to start construction in 2019 with Shell. We stepped in about in late 2022 to pick the project back up, put the pieces back together. Over the last 2 years or so, we've come a long way. There's some stuff left to do. Hopefully 2025 is a good year. Look, we're in regular communication with the county and others in the community on the status of the project. But that's our goal, is 2025 is start breaking ground.
People don't know, you tell them where it's located, so the media here.
Yeah, it's on Solid Street in Clarksburg.
So by Summit Park up that way around, up in the valley.
You're proposing 40 to 50 permanent jobs.
I believe the estimate of the permanent jobs was around 40. I honestly, I have to go back on the actual, the construction jobs are several hundred for several years.
Good deal. Well, we want to welcome you to the neighborhood to begin with, and we hope to see more of you and get this thing completed. It's been around for a long time.
I know. But look, the project has benefited from the support of everyone locally for a long time, and we see that and we acknowledge it, and we're trying to get it done.
We got slowed up for a while there, but you guys seem to be really more energetic and on top of it, so.
Thanks.
Well, welcome to our meeting too. Anybody, Paul, anybody have any questions? Well, thank you for coming. Let's move on then.
All right, any questions?
No questions? You say no questions, Paul?
Any questions?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
The next one is policy I'm proposing for you all. Thank you all again.
Thanks for coming, guys. Take some cookies with you and some stuff for the road. Gotta get rid of them.
The next is a policy I'm proposing for the board. This is for, and I have not sent it to Tim yet. I'm sure you don't have any issue with it. It's pretty straightforward, as you all know. In the union contract, Article 5, Section 5 talks when there is an absence within the agency.
People moving
If
up.
somebody
to fill
moves up,
position.
they are to fill that position with the compensation of that position. Well, sometimes we have management that is out, and then a unionized person goes into that place. So now we've got a union position occupying a management position. So we were able to settle that with the folks that are in the next down position from management in both departments. That's in water treatment and distribution. So we worked out an additional pay for those individuals. So to clean the policy up is that anybody in those departments that fill in for management will make, and that's a union position, is in the distribution department, it will be the distribution coordinators, whatever their rate of pay is during the duration of the temporary assignment. And up in the water treatment, it'll be the lab manager, class 4 operator up here. It'll be their rate of pay and not Bob's and not Bobby's down below. It'll be their rate of pay because they're being compensated for that additional responsibility anyway. So they get their pay.
It's built into their pay.
It's built into their pay. Correct.
Well, we cleaned that.
There's been some miscommunications and stuff in the past, and I wanted to clean it up. So this is
So
what,
you need a motion for this?
yes.
I move to approve.
Yes.
Moving second. Thanks for doing a good job on this. I think it's more than fair, right, Paul?
Yep.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, you all see I put a memo out prior to get us to the meeting because we did have an absence, so I needed to address the meeting. So,
Okay.
Motion.
What else do we have?
yes, yeah, just should hope I always say that. It's not always say real quick. We don't spend an hour right here.
Anything else to wrap it up today?
There's nothing else for open session.
So we're going to have a brief executive session. Hopefully it won't go too long. You make a motion?
I made a motion.
And I'll, Paul, can you second that? Okay, it's been moved and duly second to go into an executive session. I assume this is personnel matters. And so.
Union negotiation.
Yes, well, that's right, union negotiations. All right, those are the two subjects. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. We're going to adjourn for just a couple of minutes till we clear the room.